Welcome to the Women Lighthouse podcast, your friendly guide through all the ups and downs of life. We're here to remind you that every woman has the strength to take charge of her journey and make her dreams come true. Each week, we'll share heartwarming stories and helpful tips from amazing women who have faced their own challenges and come out stronger. Tune in, get inspired, and let's start this exciting journey towards achieving your dreams together. The Women Lighthouse, your guide to a brighter tomorrow. Hello, ladies. You're welcome to another episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. So today, we're going to be continuing our homeschool awareness series. We're talking everything homeschool and women. Today, we're going to be addressing how, as a working homeschooling mom, you can create a balance. Is it possible to be a full-time or a part-time mom and at the same time homeschool your kids? We know that a lot of people send their kids to school so they could all be able to create time to attend to other things. But there are some mothers who desire to have the homeschool experience, but being that they are working moms, they don't see the possibility. Now, I'm speaking from experience. I've always wanted to homeschool, even before I got married, but I just didn't see the possibility, so I just put it at the back burner. But after I decided to transition my son into homeschooling, I had to do some research to see how possible will I have to quit my job. I didn't want to quit my job for so many reasons that I've highlighted previously in this podcast. So I needed to see the possibility on how to create that balance. And after doing a lot of research, I actually saw that it's possible to be a full-time working mother and still be able to homeschool your kids. So on today's episode, I'm not doing this alone. We have a homeschooling mother who is here to share with us how she balances being a working mother and also homeschooling her kids. So you're not going to be hearing my perspective today. It's going to be her who will be sharing with us what you can do as an aspiring homeschooler or a currently homeschooling mother who is working on how you can create a balance. So our guest today is Opeyemi Badmores. She's a homeschooling mother of 4 boys. As a working mother, what made you feel you could juggle working and at the same time homeschooling your kids? Because you have 4 kids.
Initially the homeschooling started with just 1 kid. So at the time, I wasn't thinking of additional kids. The irony is, like I do tell people, the irony is God just has a way of doing things. When I had the first, or when I was pregnant for the first, my thinking was, before I get another child, probably that first to be like 5 years old. But should I call it a miracle?
Okay.
Things didn't go that way. So then I didn't really give it much thought. It was just 1 child. So I was just planning on the 1 child when I transitioned. Okay, when I transitioned into homeschooling, it was 2 children, but 1 was a baby. You understand, a total baby. So I wasn't even thinking about him then. I was only thinking about my first then when I went into homeschooling. And COVID to me was a blessing. So I was at home for about 3 to 4 months. I was fully at home. And by the time we resumed, we were having some days on, some days off. So I was still able to manage the homeschooling. Meanwhile, from those researches I had done then, you don't need 8 hours every day to teach a child. even 30 minutes a day is enough to impact the child positively.
Okay. So currently, what's your typical day like as a working homeschooling mother?
In sincerity, I don't have a typical day because um work changes from day to day. There are some days I have to be in the office from 8 in the morning till even as long as 7 at night. And there are some days that I'm able to leave the office around 3 or 2. It depends on what I have to deliver at the office. For me, I believe work should be result oriented. Like it is about what I'm able to do, not about how long I spend at the office. So what just matters to me is not piling office work down. Now, when I get home, although my homeschooling, I'm not the one that does 100% of the tutoring. I just stand as the proprietress, let me put it that way, in a school. So we have a teacher that we employ that comes home to teach the kids majorly. That is our role. My role is more or less like the admin of the homeschool. So I arrange the scheme of work, the syllabus that is going to be used. I am the one that prepares the timetable and changes it based on occurrences in the family. I manage the teacher generally. I review our work. I go through the kids' books. I do revisions for them when necessary or when needed. I also guide the teacher whenever I feel she's facing difficulties impacting them. So I am not the main teacher. I can afford to go to work and not teach them in a day. You understand? Knowing fully well that the teacher would come. So the few time I have when I come home is what I use for all those management functions in the homeschool.
So from all you've said, it means it could be a whole lot. So how do you now get to manage your time, juggling between work and managing your homeschool and also your personal responsibilities?
Uh, okay, managing the homeschool for me, I really, to some extent, do not see it as a big deal, maybe because I'm a lover of education. Uh, so it's not a big deal. When after starting the homeschool, I was forced to go and enroll for a course in education, PGDE to be precise, just to have a broader knowledge on how to manage the homeschool. And to the glory of God, I was able to learn one or two things there, which I apply. So now, applying those things in my life is actually fun and interesting. So I don't really see it as a difficult task, you understand? When it becomes a little bit difficult is when you apply something and it is not giving you that result you want immediately. However, most times you don't see the immediate effects, you see the effects over time. So what I just try to do is I try not to be too busy. And as women, we know how to do more than one thing at a time. For example, as I am cooking, I could be talking with the kids. We could be discussing what they had learned that day. As I'm cooking, I could be mopping the floor. In
Okay.
cooking, the difficult thing is the preparation, like I'm slicing the ugu leaves, I'm washing the meat, I'm doing that. Once all that is done, you are not the fire that wants to cook the food. You can actually leave the food on fire 5 minutes in your mind or with an actual timer and doing something else. So I think that is how I manage my time. Plus, I try as much as possible to engage my kids. For example, I could
Okay.
be cooking and telling my kids, okay, clear up your toys, while I'm doing something else. Or let's say they just finished eating. I want to do something. Maybe I want to fold the clothes. I can call the eldest, okay, bros, join me in folding these clothes. I've taught him how to fold. He knows how to fold. So he will be picking his and his siblings' clothes while I fold mine and my husband. Do you understand? And I can say, okay, number two, sweep the floor where you ate. So they have this brush and packer that they can handle themselves, which they would
Okay.
use. So that makes it a bit easier for me. So I think making the kids independent will help you relieve yourself of some of your duties. Not like you will not go back to it, but at least it will be different from only you doing everything. You would eventually get overwhelmed.
Okay. So, in all of this, do you have a support system in place to help you manage the demands of both working and homeschooling?
Yes, I would say yes. I would say yes. I have a support system. Um, my husband has been supportive in all truth. There are days that I have to close late at the office. Once I have informed him, he can take care of the kids to the best of his ability while I am on my way, you know. Then my my husband still has also been helping with the market runs, you know. Initially we didn't know that, in short, I never knew that could be possible, because sometimes we just judge the men before asking them for help, and we are angry deep down in our mind. Meanwhile, the other person does not even know he's doing something wrong, you know. So sometimes when we now approach and say, but you could assist me with this, you could ask me, this is how I am feeling. You might just be surprised that it would be very helpful. So my husband helps a lot of times with the market runs, the major market runs. But another thing I tried to do is to ensure that I don't buy things in bits. I don't buy things on a daily basis, except for very perishable goods, you know.
Okay.
So we at least store things in the freezer. But for people that know how to store things in the freezer, and if you have the money, I don't think there's anything wrong in buying the meat that will sustain you for a whole month, washing, prepping, and just putting it in the freezer. If you are someone that eats freezer food, that is part of the ways you can create a support system for you, for yourself. Also using people in your vicinity. If you don't have parents or parents-in-laws that are close by or that can assist, you can also use those that sell around you to assist with some things. Okay.
Okay. So, with all you've said, it's possible, or it's in some cases, it could be inevitable that we could tend to neglect ourselves as homeschooling mothers because of the overwhelming nature of having to balance things. So, how do you prioritize self care? What are certain things you do to pay attention to yourself so that you don't lose yourself in the bid of working and also homeschooling?
Okay. Um, Generally, or should I say, individuals have things that make them happy. So I feel, or I tell people to try as much as possible to focus on those things that make you happy. At times when I feel like I'm losing it, I just try to get some time for myself. So once I see I'm in that zone, I take a break and I'll just take a day off, like beg my husband, please. I think at this point I just want to be by myself today. Just sit down alone, chat with my friends, make calls, and what have you. So as individuals, we have the things that we know that will brighten our spirits. Sometimes it could be buying things. If you have the money, you can just buy it and make yourself happy.
Okay. Wow, that's lovely. Then when it now comes to your work, how do you ensure you're on top of your game when it comes to work? You're not you're meeting up with your deadlines, with your tasks, with your deliverables. How do you ensure your work doesn't suffer amidst all this that you're juggling?
Okay, first things first. It depends on the type of work, you know. For some of us, we are lucky to be doing the job that we like. I studied statistics in school. I'm working as a statistician. I love statistics. Mm. And once you are doing what you love to do, I think you'd be delivering faster. You understand? But one thing that would also help is as much as you have family, like you have a spouse and children, you should also not forget to develop yourself. Self development is very important. It is very, very important. There is no law that says a wife or a mother cannot attend courses, whether physical or online. You understand? You just have to know how to organize yourself, schedule yourself. It is those courses or those self developments you've undergone that would assist you to be able to deliver faster at the office. You understand? For example,
Yeah.
using Excel as an example, some people, I'm talking as a statistician now or like a data analyst, what someone else will use 1 hour to do, you could be able to deliver it within 20 minutes, you know. So that's if you've done the job, if you've um built yourself to that level. So you always have to build yourself to be able to deliver better and faster as a mother because you need it.
Yes, very true. And as working mothers, we don't have the luxury of time that a stay-at-home mom may have with her children. So when it comes to homeschooling for working mothers, it's usually quality over quantity. What do
Okay.
you do to create an effective learning environment for your
Trust me,
kids?
it depends on the type of kids you're handling. For some kids, you don't need a particular area as that will be tagged as the learning space, but for some, you do. So for my kids, we have a part of our sitting room that we've dedicated for their class. In short, that's we call it the classroom. So they have their chairs and tables there. They have the whiteboard. So I got materials that they'll be using for their learning, like markers, ink to refill the markers, pens, biros, poster colors, crayons, those things. Then everybody knows as a rule in our house, you don't switch on the telly during school time. So school time is supposed to be from 9 to 3. Then one other thing I did was, and to help the teacher was to download educational videos to their system. For example, there was a time they were treating safety, and then they spoke about what do they call it, the fire extinguisher. Because we don't have one in the house, the kids don't know how it looked like. So I had to think outside the box and say, okay, let me look for videos that are suitable for toddlers where they teach what the fire extinguisher is and how it is used. And luckily, I was able to see a lot of videos on YouTube, which I downloaded onto their tablets. So for some topics like that, I just have pre-recorded videos that I download from YouTube, which they watch. That also aids their learning.
Yeah.
And it makes it tick faster and better because it's like they're watching cartoon. It is not as if you are teaching them now. When the child knows that mommy wants me to learn this, they are teaching me, like you are forcing it on them. You are using the teacher approach. They may not like it. But
Okay.
when you're using the learner-based approach, they prefer it. Like, okay, just ask them question, let them discuss about what they know about those things, and or you just show them videos to watch. They are learning unconsciously. Then you now ask them about it. You'll be surprised at the kind of information they'll be giving. So those are part of the things we do to make their learning. And whenever we go out, you try as much as possible to use the things you see in the environment to teach them one or two things.
Yeah, very
If possible,
important.
if possible, link to what they've learned before.
Okay. Okay. Wow, Opeyemi, we've really had a very lovely conversation going on. To draw this conversation to a close, what advice will you give to mothers who are considering homeschooling their kids but are working? Because I know when I was planning to transition into homeschooling, I didn't see the possibility because all I had known was that to be a homeschooling mother, you had to be a stay-at-home mom, and I wasn't ready to quit my job. So it was at the point of doing a lot of research, I now saw the possibilities of actually balancing working and homeschooling. So what advice will you give to a mother who wants to homeschool her kids, but she's also either a full-time or a part-time working mom?
Okay. I have more than one. The first advice is you should know that because you're homeschooling doesn't mean you are the principal teacher in the homeschool. You know,
Hmm.
Montessori doesn't even call you a teacher. They call you like you are just guiding the child towards the knowledge. You understand? So it doesn't mean you should be the principal one performing that function. Some people are not good at teaching. It doesn't mean they cannot homeschool their children. You should always learn to assign tasks to other people. You should always learn to know how to let other people help you. Either you have to pay them in cash or in kind. That's number
Hmm.
one. Number two, you always have to know at the back of your mind that it is not how far, but how well. It is not about, I finished 8 topics in civic education with this child. It is about how many of those topics does the child really understand? Can the child relate to in the environment? You know? Then you should also know that children are different. They pick up at different stages. So that if you are not seeing immediate effects, you shouldn't get overwhelmed and angry and just say, no more homeschooling. Children are different. And you should always be ready to make adjustments. You should always be ready to learn more. And you should be ready to do away with those things or those practices that are not yielding the best results. It shouldn't be that is how we met it, or that is how our teachers taught us, or that is how our parents handled it. It should be what is best for your child at each specific time. So, and one other thing is, as much as you're learning more to keep up with the home front and homeschooling, you should also learn more to be more effective and efficient at your workplace.
Yeah, very true. Well, thank you so much for the insights and for also sharing your homeschooling journey and experience. I hope you've been able to pick one or two tips that could help you for those who are already homeschooling and working, and also for those who are considering to homeschool their kids. You need to know that balancing life as a working and homeschooling mother can be challenging, but it's possible. All you need is proper planning, organization, and support, and you'll be able to achieve a healthy work-life balance and provide the education your child needs. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. We really hope today's episode has given you some great tools, resources, and a boost of confidence to take charge of your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. You can also follow us on our social media handle for even more tips and a wonderful community that's all about supporting your growth. Join us next time for more uplifting stories and encouraging insights. Until we meet again, keep shining bright, stay inspired, and embrace your unique path to a better tomorrow.